Greetings, 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 greetings. It is I again, your king, Clifford Jefferson, along beside me with my queen, Sister Godwinson from the House of Godwinson. We represent the hierarchy of the English Evangelical Church, as well as the capacity, as well as trustees, along with the other trustees that are here beside me on the King's bench. We welcome them all. Archbishop Belmont from the House of Belmont, CA in his absence from the House of Murphy, Brother Burgess from the House of Burgess, Sister Countess Alice from the House of Allen, Countess Walker from the House of Walker, Countess Middleton from the House of Middleton, Countess Harris from the House of Harris, as well as all our nobles from their respective houses, too many to count. We're here today with another marvelous lesson to bring before our people as they make their crusade back home through those desert sands, waters, whatever form you choose to take your destination is your choice. We are here today as part 2 of our another marvelous lesson to proving who we are as citizens of England, and that those misnomers as they are assumed as citizens of England, which was those Germanic tribes who migrated to England, who are associated with Rome. Once and for all, we're going to prove that today by going back into the Stone Age. Yes, the Stone Age. Let's get it in, all right? But first and foremost, let's hear a couple of words from our queen, Sister Godwinson from the House of Godwinson for part 2.
Greetings, everyone. Just to camelback off of lesson part 1, I'm glad the king was able to bring clarity to what a true citizen is and the definition, the difference between citizen, subjects, denizen, etc. Because we still have people out here who still using those misnomers, Black, African American, whatever other names they chose to go by. But I just think that they should listen to today's lesson and just focus on those terms that the king went over, just to bring clarity to it. And with that, I digress.
What's that, Queen? I think a part of our number one problem is everyone seeks clarity, and you can't put clean water in a dirty glass. You can't do it. And that's what they're trying to do. You can't go take a bath and put on the same dirty clothes. You can't do it. You got to take all that stuff, leave it there. If you get dirty again, that's the job to come back and clean yourself. This is what we're here for, to get dirty, to put that work in. If your hands all nice and soft, and especially if you're a man, we got a problem with that. Man supposed to put that work in. Heck, our countess' hands are rougher than ours. Something wrong with that. We got Countess Sister Walker putting in that work in these courts, putting that work in. And she got a hell of a testimony. I don't know when she's going to give it, but she's got a hell of a testimony. And I give honor for women taking that stand and to do what men are obligated to do, and that's protect the fort. This is the chessboard we on, and everybody plays the part. And we've been invaded from time immemorial, but that stops today. As we said in our last lesson in regards to citizenship, we are citizens of the Kingdom of England. We are not naturalized citizens who migrated to England under the so-called tribes of Germanic descent. Very important to understand that. Germanic descent. Because when you get into the history of the Germans, you get into the history of the Jews, you get into the history of all those stories being told based off the abstract identity that they want us to associate it with. But there's no concrete proof to support that. Why? Because it's not in concordance with law. As we said, in the lieu of corporation soul, there's 2 types: civil, corporation soul, and ecclesiastical immorality, corporation soul. So if you're not under civil, because civil deals with citizen. Look the word up, civil. It denotes the citizen. So when a king acts as corporation soul under civil law, it concerns his citizen, because the civil law of the citizens of England is the common law. The common law of ecclesiastical is the abstract law brought here by the colonists known as the Protestant, who broke away from the Roman Catholic Church. And the Roman Catholic Church goes back to Augustus of Octavian in the year 27 BC. And the year 27 BC, in the Berber year, is the year 924. And the year 924 is the year of Asherton. Asherton was the son of Edward the Elder, the son of Alfred the Great, which means wise elf. And wise elf are the stories you hear about our ancestors known as the angels or the angels or the elves of Albion. And back then, Asherton termed himself as Primicius. I'm saying the name word, but we'll show you in a second. And King Edward the Peaceful styled himself as Augustus of Albion. And Augustus is a name given to Octavius of Augustus in 27 BC. But this is under what we call the German monarchs, under the German timeline, who invaded England. And remember, their dead timeline is not our timeline, because if it's 27 BC for them, it's 924 for us. And it's not BC, because BC means Berber calendar, not Berber, not before Christ, because AD means after Christ, which means Annos Dominios, in the year of our Lord. And I stated earlier in this podcast that we refer to ourselves as lords, which they refer to us as pagans. And this was the reason for the Gregorian Mission of the what we call the changing of the Anglo-Saxons to what they call Christianity. And Christianity and their form of belief is abstract. Christianity and our form of belief is concrete. But in order to understand the concrete story, you have to have a concrete timeline. So with that being said, let's get into our concrete timeline. I said I was going to hold you long, and I plan not to. Let's see. England. Y'all ready to smile? I said, are y'all ready to smile?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Absolutely, King.
Whoop, whoop.
Somebody can give it to you with clarity. Like, who else can take you back to time when you ain't never been? You gonna really see it for yourself right now. I didn't write none of this. I ain't got no books in front of me. Everything I'm being articulated is from my mind. And whatever my mind says, my body will follow. And when I say body, I mean it's the faculties: taste, touch, smell, sight, which is all really one, touch. All one form, touch. So let the words touch your mind.
That's the term.
So that your body may follow along. So that may you won't put your step in the wrong footing. Because this is a dark trail, y'all. It's one path. You can't go to the side. You can either go backwards and forwards. And we're not going forwards. We're going backwards. So that means we got to turn around and follow the light.
U-turn.
And if those who are the one, if the one in front of you, you better make sure you keep your eyes on them. You better keep your eyes, you better stay at arm's length. Because you about to go back in time. All right, let's do it. England. I thought I checked.
You got to share it, King.
I know that. I got you. Let's smile, y'all. England. I'm going to read because I for the sake of time. England is a country that is part of the United Kingdom. It shares the land border of Wales. Matter of fact, I ain't reading. I'm doing the teaching up here. Brother Burgess, you read.
England is a country that is the part of the United Kingdom. It shares the land borders with Wales to the east and Scotland to the north. The Irish seas lies northwest of England, and the Celtic seas to the southwest. England is separate from the continental Europe, but by the North Sea to the east and the English Channel to the south, the country covered 5/8 of the island of Great Britain, which lies in the North Atlantic and includes over 100 smaller islands, such as the Isles of Sicily and the Isles of Wight. The area now called England was first inhabited by modern humans during the Upper Paleolithic period, but takes the name of the Angles and the Germanic tribes deriving its name from the Angelic Peninsulas. Angela Peninsula. Anglia Peninsulas, who settled during the 5th and the 6th century.
Stop right there. All right. Very important, y'all. Listen, look into this timeline. Our last lesson was about the Clovis culture. Can we talk about that?
Yes.
That's our last lesson. Let's go back here. Now it says that England goes back to the Paleolithic times, but it was invaded by Germanic tribes. Didn't we just read that? All right. Clovis culture. Prehistoric Paleo-American culture named for distinct stone tools found in close association with the Pliocene fauna of Blackwater in Clovis, New Mexico. Let me go a little further. Go right here. Read that part. Oh, come on. 1 second. I apologize, my screen messing up. Come on, clear up. I got this thing open on my, let me just close this. And to close.
Move it over. It should be an X right here, but you just gotta move it over to see the X.
I don't wanna.
You can't drag it.
Here we go. All right. Here we go. Let me go back up here. Clovis culture. All right, here we go. Right here. You see that?
The only human burial
Yeah.
that has been directly associated with the two from the Clovis culture, including the remains of infant boy researchers named Anzique.
We can skip all that. Let's go to right here. It is closely related to.
It's closely related to the modern Native Americans population, which led support to the Belgians. Hypothesis for the settlement of Americans.
It talks about the Beringia or the Bering Strait, the land bridge. Just put it up. Beringia is defined today as a land and maritime area bounded the West and Lena River in Russia, on the east in the Mackenzie River in Canada, and northeast of 7 degrees north latitude and Chukchi Sea, and on the south by the tip of Kamchatka Peninsula, and includes the Chukchi Sea and the Bering Sea and the Bering Strait. So the Bering Strait is called the landmass that connects from Russia all the way to what we call the East Coast, what we call Los Angeles. Y'all follow?
Follow.
And this is what's called the Clovis culture. Now, if that's the case, let's go ahead. Paleolithic.
Is this
Paleolithic.
King? Is this the abstract side of that you're speaking of?
Say it again.
The Clovis culture is the abstract side, right?
Abstract.
Okay,
Yes,
I follow.
it's abstract. Why? Because you're dealing with the first one. Let's go ahead. Pale.
Yes. Oh,
Everybody see that? Let me share it.
Mhm.
1 second, sorry. Everybody see that?
not yet.
Yeah, I see it.
See it now.
Yes, I see.
Let's see it now.
Pale. Read this. You see a camel, right?
Yes.
Now,
Hmm.
why would there be a camel on a family crest?
No, that
Hey,
camel.
Pale was from England. So I got a problem with that because we know when we deal with the Kingdom of Iberia, the Kingdom of Iberia encompassed the whole empire of what we call Rome, the Kingdom of Rome, as when this is Parthia. Give us a second, right now. All right. It says the origin of the Pale surname was uncertain. It may have deriven from Middle English word pale and I, in which case it was likely a nickname which evolved into a name. Or it may come from an old Scandinavian person named Pale, which was probably originally an ethnic name for someone in Poland. Sorry about that. You got it?
You want your charger with you?
No.
Phone charger?
No. What's going on with my phone? Forgive me, y'all. My screen playing flipsies on me. Let it pull up. Okay. All right. Why is this here? Can I close this out?
I think you went into an actual website to buy
Let me
something.
go some. No. All right, start here. Can everybody see that? I don't know what this is over here. What the heck is it doing? I apologize for the problems we're having. Oh, boy, this is stupid.
Can you drag this over?
Hold on.
Let me see.
Y'all bear with me. It's like it's trying to freeze up on me. Let me just close out. Y'all bear with me. Why won't this close out?
I think you're on the images.
Another
Let me
images.
drag it over, just cut it out.
Y'all bear with me.
Drag it over.
Don't worry about it. I'll just click it again. Don't close out. Definitely do that. I'm sorry, y'all. Give me 1 second. Let me just close this thing out. I don't know what's up with that.
Just continue.
All right. Pale. I apologize for that. Okay, everybody see that now?
Yes.
All right. The origins of pale. Pale has been spelling many different ways before English spelling became standardized over the last 200 years, spelling variation. Its names were common occurrences as the English language changed in the Middle Ages. Absorbing pieces of Latin and French as well as other languages, the spelling of people names also changed considerably, even over a single lifetime. Blase, blase, blase. In an attempt to escape the chaos experienced in England, many English families boarded overcrowded and diseased ships, settling for the shores of North America and other British colonies. These families, those families hard enough and lucky enough to make the passage intact, were rewarded with land and social environment less prone to religious or political persecution. Many of these families became important contributions to the young colonies in which they settled, blase, 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 i.e. Virginia, 1726, William Penn. What's important about that? When you go back to Clovis culture, the Clovis culture is the prehistoric Pale of America. Now, Palo means ancient or old, and ethnic means rock, dealing with the Stone Age. So when you're dealing with the Clovis culture, or you're dealing with the Stone Age or paleontology, I got it right here, Paleolithic, Paleolithic or Paleolithic, also called the Old Stone Age, a period in prehistory distinguished by the original development of stone tools that covered 99% of the period of human technological prehistory. Now, what's important about that? Let's go to migration. Paleogeography and climate. When you go right here, continue to read here, brother. Hold on, not right there. Second. I want to go right to it. Right here. Start right there.
The Cordilleran ice sheet.
Cordilleran, yeah.
Cordilleran ice sheet covered the North American Northwest, and the Laurentide covered the East. The Scandinavian ice sheet covered the Northern Europe, including Great Britain. The Alpine ice sheet covered the Alps. Scattered domes scattered across Scandinavia and the Atlantic shelf. The Northern Sea was frozen. During the later upper Paleolithic.
Latest Pleistocene. Do the best you can, man.
Well,
Remember, they wrote this. This is not what we went by. They wrote this. Remember, because they're the one who's discovering all this stuff. Pale and white means the same thing.
I'll follow I'm with you.
All right, continue to read.
So the what is that? The Beringian land bridge between Asia and North America was blocked by ice, which may have prevented early Paleo Indians, such as the Clovis culture, from directly crossing Thuringia to reach the Americans.
Okay. Now, what are they saying? First, they just mentioned Upper Paleolithic. They just read that. it says that they crossed the Beringia, or what they call the Bering Strait, to cross into what they call North America, which, as they say, was the first culture in North America, called the Clovis culture. But it goes back to the Stone Age, or Paleolithic, or paleontology. And when you deal with paleontology, who the ones discovering all these bones? They are, right? Now, somebody mentioned that Clovis culture, which was the Merovingian, founded the Merovingian dynasty, said they never descended down from gods like the Anglo-Saxon king. And there's no evidence to support that. So if they did not descend from God, then that means they descended from evolution according to what they call paleontology or Paleolithic. Why? Because it's named after the Clovis culture, which was the first culture going back to the Stone Age. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So when he who writes your books sets your timeline. So when you're dealing with paleontology, Paleolithic, it all derives from the Clovis culture, which is said to be here in North America. Why? Because it denotes to the first stone tools. And the first stone tools are called spears. You follow?
Yes, I'm with you.
Everybody follow? No questions. Paleolithic, Paleolithic, Paleolithic. Same with the Clovis culture. And we know the Clovis culture is the first culture going back to time immemorial. So now let's get this timeline going back to England, because it said Upper Paleolithic time. Then it said during the late Upper Paleolithic. Let's go back to England. The area now called England was first inhabited by modern humans during the Upper Paleolithic period, but takes its name from Angles, a Semitic tribe deriving from the name Anglia. Right there in the 5th and 6th century. Everybody see that, right?
Yes.
Everybody got eyes, just like I can see. So they go back to the time of immemorial, back to the dinosaurs. First humans, known as the Clover culture, or what they call the Stone Age, going into what they call paleontology, or Paleolithic, which is dealing with the first stone tools. And which, according to them, was the evolutionary man. So paleontology go back to the evolutionary man, and the evolutionary man under paleontology go back to the Clovis culture, and the Clovis culture get their name from Clovis the First. And we know Clovis the first never descended down from gods like the Anglo-Saxons. And we know God didn't evolve. They came down because the word angel means messenger. Messenger means sender. Sender means to descend, to come down from. And as you can see in the fleur-de-lis, angels was given that thorn cloth to Clovis the First, the one who evolved. But yet he never descended down from God. So how could you be getting a cloth from an angel from heaven? Something ain't adding up, right?
Yes.
Everybody follow.
Hello, King.
Let me see you smiles on everybody's face. I just love to see you smile. All right. You all right, Sister Walker?
I'm trying to be funny, but that's how they came up with the cartoon, the Flintstones.
And that's where the Flintstones came in. Because what does the word Flintstone mean? Flintstone. Flintstone. That's the kind of stone. Exactly. Well said, Queen.
Interesting.
All right. So let's go back to this time memorial dealing with the Flintstone from paleontology to paleontology, which is discovered by people who descended from what? The Clovis culture. Because prior to that, England was the bomb. Right? It said England. Let's go back to England. Because England was discovered in what? 927. That history. Not discovered in 927, but the kings go back to 927. Acerton. Acerton means noble stone. First, let's go here. Albion. Attestation means proof. All right, that's what it means, to attest to something, to prove it. Attestation. Start from here. Brother Watto, you can read here.
The name Albion was used by Isidore of Charax in the 1st century BC, 1st century AD, and subsequently by many classical writers. By the 1st century AD, the name refers unequivocally to Great Britain.
Stop. Now, according to the Berber calendar, what year is it in 1 BC and 1 AD, y'all?
You know, it's what is that?
Yeah, somebody better get this right, or I'm shutting it down.
9:59.
9:54.
No, what'd you say? What'd you say? What you say? Somebody said 950 what?
9:59.
954.
954. So 951.
150.
Say,
isn't it?
950
It's 950.
Yeah.
BC is 950 AD. And 1 AD is 951 AD.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because there were lords there. Back then, they were, to the common people, they were considered gods.
Mm-hmm.
What they call giants. People of stature, not giants, but stature, people you look up to. So it said the name Albion was used in the 1st century BC. To us, that's 950 AD.
Mm-hmm.
And who's ruling 950 AD? King Edward the
King
Peaceful.
Edward the Peaceful.
That's our Jesus Christ. If you go to 1 BC in their calendar, I'm about to show y'all. Remember what I'm telling you. 1 BC and is 950 AD, and 1 AD is 951 AD. And the word AD means Annos Dominios, and the year of our Lord. So that means that whoever they called the Lord was right here on earth.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
And they were giants, by the way, too.
And they were giants too. They were giants because they got bones to support that. But we ain't going back that time because we ain't giants right now. But we do got ancestors that has that stature. All right.
Like I said,
Now
it's in the
read
blood.
It's in the blood. Now read here.
In his 2nd century,
No, right here.
in 930, the English king Athelistan used the title Rex et Primicerius Totius Albionus Regni, king and chief of the whole realm of Albion. His nephew, Edgar the Peaceful, styled himself Totius Albionus Imperator Augustus Imperial of all Albion in 970.
Emperor. Okay, now let's get to the meat and greens. All right, now I got a problem because now you telling us in Albion, we know that they got their timeline and we got our timeline. Now, you use the same terminology that you see in the Greeks and Roman stories referring to Augustus. When I said that, when we're dealing with the first king of England, his name was Asselton. Son of Edward the Elder. Everybody seeing, right?
Yes.
That's who he was. You see his complexion. He was dark-skinned, dark complexion. He was the son of Edward the Elder, the son of Alfred the Great. And Edward the Elder, his father was Alfred the Great. You see that, right? Everybody see that?
mhm.
And who was his mother? Elizabeth. Look at that woman, y'all. Look at that woman. Look at that right there.
Yeah.
That's Alfred the Great wife. Wives elves of Albion. Let me blow y'all mind right quick. Let's get to this timeline. Timeline, because we know it said in England, Germans invaded England, right? That's what it said. Let's go back to England. (927) and 927, Atherton was ruling. And Atherton means noble stone. Noble stones, got to go back to the Stone Age for that in the abstract story, right? Because you tell this, if you tell a story dealing with England when it was invaded by Germans, you got to go back to the origin of the Germans. And this is how we go there. Timeline. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Timeline of the Germans. We don't have to go all back here because this is Paleolithic. This is the Stone Age. This is paleontology. This is all dealing with the Clovis I culture, right?
Mm.
This is all they talking about, is the Clovis culture. So we don't need to go back that far. Hell, we wasn't there to prove it. But let's go here. 481. He was succeeded as king of Salian France, son of Clovis I. So that means that Clovis I was a part of the German culture who invaded England. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes.
If the Germanic tribes invaded England, and I'm giving the timeline of the Germanic people going back to the Paleolithic time, all the way up to 481 AD. And in 481 AD, Clovis I is ruling. And Clovis I was the founder of the Merovingian dynasty. Let's go there. There you go, Clovis I. And it's said that he was the founder of the Merovingian dynasty. He is considered to have been the founder of the Merovingian dynasty. He hit Merovingian dynasty. It says the dynastic in medieval Latin, Merovingi or Merovingi, sons of Merovac, derived from an unattested. Now we just read in Albion that it said it was attested.
Correct.
It didn't say unattested. It said Acertus' name and King Edgar the Peaceful name was attested as Pontificus and Augustus, Emperor of Albion. But yet the Carolingians or the Clovis culture, going back to the so-called paleontology, going back to the first Stone Age, they said that they never descended down from God like the Anglo-Saxon royal genealogy, nor is there any evidence to prove it. Ain't no evidence to prove that y'all descended down from gods like the Anglo-Saxon genealogies. And we know that any odds of the Anglo-Saxon goes back to the kings of Wessex, starting with Alfred the Great. That makes sense to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Go back here, back to the German genealogy to keep it on track. Pull up. a second. Come on screen, act right. Don't tell me it's freezing up on me. Timeline. Hopefully it'll pop up. Come on now. Come on, do this for me. Y'all bear with me. Let me jump in. Hopefully it'll pop back up. All right, this is the monarchs. We go here first. All right, so we know that we connected the German timeline dealing with the Clovis culture all the way back to Clovis the First. This is dealing with the monarchs of Germany. And one monarch in particular, we want to go to here because it says here, can everybody see that?
Mhm.
The Carolingian is part of the, let's just say here right quick. They're actually part of the Merovingian dynasty, Carolingian. See if it give me, let me go there. All right, here we go. No, it didn't. All right, anyhow. The Merovingian and the Carolingian dynasties are actually part of the same house.
Yes.
Now, what's important about this is that you want to go to the Attolian dynasty. And the Attolian dynasty started by Otto the First. Everybody can see that? Otto the First?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you watch our video, you'll see Otto the First and his wife. Her name was Edith or Edith. I'm about to show you. Now, these are monarchs of Germany. Otto the First, known as Otto the Great, was the East Frankish king. They had descended all down from the Merovingians or Carolingians, all one and the same. Who was his wife? Her name was Edith of England. Everybody see that?
Yep.
I'm gonna click that. If you watch the video when it come on, you see that picture of her. This is Edith of England. She is the daughter of Edward the Elder. Everybody see that?
Yes.
The father of Edward the Elder. Edward the Elder is the son of Alfred the Great. Alfred the Great. His wife Elswith. That takes you right back here to Elswith. So everybody's tying into the blood. And all the ones who tie into the blood are descended down from what we call the Clovis culture, called then the Carolingian culture or the Merovingian dynasty. All these are descended from the Frankish kings and queens. They're all descended from what they call the Roman Catholics. German. Let me see if this comes up now. Please come up. Timeline. Please come back up. I can do even better. Scat.
I must have left my console.
Y'all bear with me. I think my computer's slowing up. All right, let me come here. All right, anyhow, let's go here. Since that's excellent, let's go with the timeline with the Romans now. This is the Roman timeline to the other one pop up, and this should be in closing. We deal with time, the Roman timeline. When you say Rome, I gotta get this one. Hold on. I gotta get this. Please come up. Timeline of the Germans. Okay, here we go. Woo! Can everybody see this? Everybody see this?
Yes.
Yes, we see it.
All right, we're back on point now. Now remember, we're doing the timeline of the Germans. We don't have to go back in BC, because we know BC is called to them the Clovis culture, dealing with the Paleolithic or Paleology, dealing with the first so-called human fossils or the stone tools used by them. But that deals with the Clovis culture. And we know the Clovis culture existed from the Germans, because if you get down to 481, oh no, that's not that. Yeah, right here.
Oh.
481. Clovis the first. All right. 486. Clovis the first. So all the Clovis the first and the Merovingians and Carolingians were all Frankish descendants of Roman Catholics. Right now, let's scroll down and move a little further on as a German monarch. We're gonna move up in time. (16th century). Oh, who else do we see? Everybody see that? King James. King James, the first of England, Ireland, and Scotland, married his daughter Elizabeth Stewart, Elector Frederick V of the Palatine, leader of Protestant Union. So all these are Germans. Everybody understand? Just from this timeline dealing with the Germans, you found not only the Clovis culture, but Clovis the first. All right, now watch this, y'all. Let me go back here for a minute. Y'all really didn't see what I was giving to y'all, but I'm gonna show y'all in the app. 27 BC. Oh, Rome. Rome. Timeline of the Rome. (27 BC). (27 BC). Everybody see that?
Yes.
Now read Brother Scott from the House of Scott. Right here. Just that box.
Just unmute himself.
Unmute this box. The box.
(27 16 January). Descendant, granted, Augustus. The titles, Augustus, Majestic, and Princeps. I guess that's the first.
Okay. Now this is in 27 BC. under their calendar. So now what is it in our calendar? 27 BC.
943.
977,
Would be 943.
What time is it?
924.
924.
924 AD. It's 924 AD. Now let's see who's ruling in 924 AD.
Ethelstan.
Go back to England. Who said that?
I did.
That's Brother
Ethelstan.
Mann.
You're absolutely right. So in the 924, Asoton is ruling. But in their year, it's 27 BC. And it said in Albion, if you go back to Albion, it said, where is it at? But if you go back to Albion, Albion said that Asoton called himself, was it Principicus?
Pacificus.
And King Edgar the Peaceful called himself Augustus of Albion. So they're using these terms in the Middle Ages that the so-called Romans and Greeks are trying to say they're using in their timeline, which can't be the same because in the year 27 BC, where was it at? And the year 27 is in our year 924. And it can't be 27 BC because the Gregorian calendar was not created until 1582. Everybody see that?
Follow.
They can't be no 1582 because the calendars support 27 BC. They come on the scene till 1582. So the only calendar that can be is 924. And in the year 924, Atherton was ruling. And Atherton was the son of who? Edward the Elder.
Edward the
Elder.
Elder.
The Elder.
And Edward the Elder was the son of who? Alfred the Great.
Alfred the Great.
And Alfred the Great was the wife, husband of Ealhswith.
Yeah, wait.
And we know that in 27 BC, the Greeks or the Romans tried to use that term when it was already used by the Anglo-Saxon burghers, which were called the Kings of Wessex. Let's go here. Back to that timeline. So 27 BC is the time of Asoton. Let's go a little further. 6 BC. Augustus offered Tiberius Tribunican power imperium over the eastern half of the empire. Both of this is fraud. Why? Because look at 6 BC. If it's 6 BC in that calendar, what year is in the Berber calendar?
945.
944.
And who's ruling as king in 945?
Ethelstan.
No.
Edgar, King Edgar the
King
Peaceful.
Edgar the
Edgar.
Peaceful. Jesus Christ. Now look who they say is born in the year 6 BC when the year is actually 945. Who they say? Jesus. How can that be? Is you talking about either that Jesus or you talking about King Edgar the Peaceful? Because King Edgar the Peaceful, King Edgar was ruling in 945. He was born in 943. Let's make it even concrete. Excuse me. Let's go back to the calendar. Let's go back to 1 BC or 2 BC. What year is it in Berber calendar? 949. And who was born in that year? Jesus. How, somebody lying about Jesus Christ. They got to be lying. How do we know that? Let's go to 1 BC.
Number saying magic.
1 BC,
Yeah.
just to get it and prove it once and for all. 1 BC.
Wow.
950. So how can it be 950 AD and 1 BC BC? Somebody lying. So that means somebody got to come up with a record to support their history because their history don't come into the scene till 1582 by Pope King XIII. And Pope Gregory the 13th descended down from a whole bunch of Pope Gregory, going back to Pope Gregory the First through Augustine of Canterbury, which brings us right here in closing. And we're gonna close out on this. Church of England. Excuse my spell, but it should pop up if I'm not mistaken. Come on. Okay. Church of England, and this is in closing. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Church of England. Everybody go to the box. Classification, Anglican. Theology, Anglican doctrine. Polity, Episcopal. Supreme Governor, Queen Elizabeth II. Region, England, Wales, Isles of Man, Channel Island, Continental Europe, and Morocco. What? Morocco? How is the Church of England govern Morocco? How is that? Because it was founded by Augustine of Canterbury under the Roman Catholic Church. Why? Because it's under papal jurisdiction. And then the English Reformation in the 15th century by who? Henry VIII. Now, who is Augustine of Canterbury? And I'm going to rest on this. Augustine of Canterbury was a monk who became the Archbishop of Canterbury in the year 597. He was considered the apostle to the English and the founder of the English Church of England. Well, why didn't you call it the English Church in England then, if you were the founder of it? It said you were the founder of the Church of England. Didn't it just say that?
Yes.
It said Church of England. It didn't say the English Church of England.
Yes.
But now you want to say the English Church of England. And how we know that? By way of this. Augustine was the prior of the monastery of Rome when Pope Gregory the Great chose him in 595 to lead a mission usually known as the Gregorian Mission. And what's the Gregorian Mission?
Was to convert all of the Anglo-Saxon people to Christians.
Version.
Well said. Everybody give yourself a hand of applause.
Version.
Ball game. That's ball game for us. We just proved that we are the English heirs and successors, and that those who are claimed to be English successors and heirs are nothing more than Germans from Roman Catholic descendant who broke away from the Roman Catholic through what we call the English Reformation under the Protestant Church, who now, when they came here and colonized America after colonies, they got all our rights.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to get it back is to take it back by taking your birthright back, by declaring your nationality as the English heir successors on crown land, which we call crown estates, which is inheritable because it's intact and not fee and simple. So with that, I love you all. I know it was long-winded. Make sure I covered everything. Yeah, so long-winded, and once again, when you're going back to our history, it goes back to nobility, because Ashton was called noble stone, and noble stone dealing with the it's a ceremony of the noble stone dealing with the right to inherit the earth, because all the stones are precious: gold, silver, diamond. All that stuff was the minerals that were left in the trust. We wasn't wearing it like they did back then. We were using it, but they made a mockery of it back then like they're doing it now with all the rap stars wearing it, not knowing that it don't belong to you. It belongs to us. And once everything is remanded by way of reversion to the English heir, everything is liquidated back to the English heirs to successors, as was done to the English Reformation. And as a result of that, I agree with you. and I meet you in peace and love. And I leave our closing remarks to the Queen, Sister Godwinson from the House of Godwinson, and followed by the heirs and successors here on the English bench, according to the respective houses. I'm tired, y'all, so forgive me.
Slow down. Come on.
Wow, another marvelous lesson from the King. These lessons are so paramount and very much needed, especially in today's times. And with that, I digress.
Well said, Queen Godwinson. Brother Mead from the House of Meads.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. I thought it was remarkable the way you transitioned and travel back in the time to tie the line together of understanding where we come from and how the switcheroo was done through the German Roman Catholicism. In fact, it's still going on today, as Sister Allen mentioned in part one of the court system. They're still dealing with Rome today. They're taking you out of your state, giving you an identity to claim your identity and your estate. It's a complete switcheroo. But to go back in the time and then use it and see that they're, hey, this is, the particulars when they've written their self in the existence in the reforming, like you said, the Reformation. That's kind of like the Reconstruction Act here. It's the same thing we're dealing with today. And I yield.
Well said, brother. I mean, your language and your passion and your language based off your articulation have shown and have approved your growth and lieu of the understanding that's called upon each and every one of us here as a part of this meeting today. So well articulated, well said, and it's well received. Sister Alice from the House of Alice.
Yeah, so what the King has done was, once again, taking you through time and history to show who was who at this particular time, through the Gregorian Mission, through the Paleolithic times, through Clovis I, and the back and forth, trying to prove who we are, trying to prove who they are not. And I think the King has once again done a beautiful job at explaining and actually pulling out of history. This is what we are supposed to do. Go crazy trying to find it and not giving up until you find it. This is also how I do my research. You have to go through that rabbit hole. You have to go in all these different portals. You have to read all these different laws that is concerning you, that's confusing you. But at the same time, you actually have to go to the history itself, And with that, he's done a beautiful job at the comparison, and making us truly understand who are the actual players here at the table. And I think he did a wonderful job as always. Thank you, and I digress.
Well said, well said. Sister Alice. Sister Middleton from the House of Middleton.
Yes. Wonderful, excellent lesson because of the clarity and the clarification, in particular with the Anglo-Saxons and the Germans. And I appreciate you, King, because you really, a lot of stuff is all jumbled up, and just to patiently uncover, unwind, unravel a lot of little areas that people get caught up in is what I most appreciate too, in terms of the clarity brought in this particular land region. So I thank you.
Well said. Well said. You digress, or you just speaking?
Yes, I digress. Thank
well
you.
said, Sister Middleton from the House of Middleton. Sister Walker from the House of Walker.
Greetings, King. This was a good lesson, and I will have to, review it even more. But what it shows you is law and history go together. And when we went to Wikipedia, and a lot of us, have struggled with the Moorish paradigm, and a lot of Moors, struggle with, this English paradigm. But just to show that the English church, part of its region was Morocco, so that brings it, into England. So also, you know, King, the way your brain works, I don't think anybody can pull so much information together in the time that we've been here today. You know, you have a gift. You know, you can have 50 pages of case law and you can go right to the paragraph that we need. So we appreciate you and we appreciate this lesson, and I'm looking forward to reviewing it so I can, you know, get the same clarity that you have. So thank you once again, King.
You're welcome, sister. Walker from the House of Walker. Countess Harris from the House of Harris.
Greetings, greetings. As all the lessons, I want to come back offer Countess Walker. Every lesson you teach is great. And there's no coincidence why you're here teaching it the way your mind works, because you're teaching us how to look for accurate knowledge. As my father would say, knowledge is powerful, but you have to look for accurate knowledge. And you're teaching us how to look for accurate knowledge through going back through the history of the Stone Age and bringing everything together. So I love it. I got to go back and really take my time and put it all together visually. And I look for more learnings and teachings from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Harris. It's a joy to have all the countess has spoke thus far. And last but least, Brother Walthor's countess.
Peace. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Greetings.
A couple of words now.
Yeah, I'm gonna say a couple of words. I did enjoy my first time in the presence of you all. It was definitely an experience. Please do forgive me. I'm a bit tired because I'm working on a lot of things right now, and I've been traveling, so I have a little jet lag going on. But I definitely enjoyed the entire, we got kicked us off for about 30 minutes, but everything was excellent. It's definitely something that I would love to continue to participate in and to grow and learn and get more knowledge on some of the things that you're sharing. Not some, but all. I'm just, like I said, I enjoyed everything. I wanted to tie a couple things together, but I'm just a little fatigued. So please excuse me, fatigueness, but I would definitely like to continue on in learning and listening with you, if you don't mind.
Thank you very much. Your words are well received. And we thank your significant other, Brother Walthor from the House of Walthor, for inviting you. And we give him the floor.
Well, thank you again, King and Queen, and everyone else. It's always connecting the dots. We're here to learn as much as possible in the time we have. We talked earlier about the court cases. Brother Scott brought that up, and I think it's important to know jurisdiction. That's one part that I think most of us haven't had to battle with in court cases. I'm very familiar with it myself because I've had to battle in court cases with some victories. But knowing who you are, standing on your square is very important. And so with that being said, this Clovis culture, Paleolithic, nationality that we discussed in the first half, all these things tie hand in hand. So I really can appreciate the information, King, that you so eloquently brought to the fore for all of us to learn from. And I digress.
Well said, Brother Walthor. We really appreciate you here, as well as your countess coming on and taking the stance to humble herself and be a part of the team. And we appreciate it, and she's welcome anytime she feels like it. Brother Scott from the House of Scott. Let's have it, brother. Can't hear you, Noble.
Unmute. Thanks again. King, Queen.
I
Once
love
again,
your readiness, man. You got
great
readiness
lesson.
about you, boy. I like that.
It was a great lesson, great lesson. So, King, what I understand is that I've always heard that the Windsors were German. And in fact, you just proved that without a doubt. Something else that I realized is that all assets and resources need to be returned to the true crown of England. So I guess we have a lot of work to do based on these facts. And I'm almost speechless, but I really, really, really do appreciate the accuracy that you always provide, King. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm at your disposal. Brother Gray from the House of Gray.
Greetings, King and Queen. I really appreciate your leadership. You taught us everything from, naturalization, about allegiance to the crown, to the king, that you're a subject versus a citizen. And it's so important that we realize that, and how blessed we are to have a king to have allegiance to. Also, I love the way you took us back in time and showed us how these timelines and their stories are not matching up, and how we have to decipher this puzzle to be able to plead our case. But as always, man, I've got to go back and look back over this lesson, watch the video again, because you always pick up more stuff as you go back over it. But I just want to thank you for being the king and giving us an opportunity to learn and share your wisdom with us. So with that, I digress.
Well said, Brother Gray from the House of Gray. Brother Munday from the House of Munday. You were still with us, brother? You probably dozed off. It's okay. I didn't have you too long. We hope he chiming back in. We open the floor for Earl Burgess from the House of Burgess.
Greetings. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, no.
How everybody doing today?
All right.
For everybody that's watching though and waiting to come home, I mean, I want to say only you can care about your inheritance. Nobody can make you care about your hereditament. So it's already written. You see it. Just accept it and follow through. And for everybody that's here on the panel, I never tell you to stop studying, but it's time we get ready to make this applicable in law. What you studying, if you ain't ready to take it in front of the open court to do what we need to do for this great work for the church, what we doing it for.
There you go. Well said. Man after my own heart. Well said. Brother Munde, you ready? What about Brother Militant from the House of Militant? I know you there.
Yeah. All right. Well, on a practical note, I got pulled over some weeks ago.
Speak a little louder, Brother Militant. We can't hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let me get this stuff. 1 second. Yeah, hello?
Yes, we hear you, Noble.
Okay, yeah. So the cops pulled me over and didn't have a license, just as a credit card. And, license, registration, insurance. But first, he says we are being recorded. So I said, that's good. And I said, for the record, I'm an Englishman. And I'm protected by the English common law and the Magna Carta of 1215. So, make you know that you're dealing with a lawman too, not just him alone know the law.
Yeah.
So anyway, go on. I don't have a license in the first place. So I looked at his ID, so he asked me for date of birth. Come to think of it, I should give him in the Berber calendar here, but whatever. So anyway, at the end of the day, he says that I must, you know, obey the rules, and I say I try my best to obey. I do obey the laws, but I try my best to obey the rules. You know, the situation was escalated, but by the fact that I'm letting them know I'm an Englishman made a big difference. You know, it just bust down to, he even told me that I got arrested a couple times before, probably no license. So, so why didn't arrest me this time? So, you know.
It says disobey the rules.
Right,
You say,
obey
I'll
the
obey the
rules.
law, but I'll try to obey the rules. Well said.
So, you know what I'm saying? So,
Well said.
I mean, all of us owe great things and gratitude to you, the King, Clifford Jefferson. No joke. You know what I'm saying? Because I wouldn't even know about this stuff if it wasn't for you. So, you know, big up.
Thank you, Noble. Brother Murphy from the House of Murphy, greetings, Noble. Glad you was able to make it, CA. Greetings, Noble. Can't hear you.
Sorry about that. Greetings, everyone. Greetings.
Greetings.
Peace and love, Queen. Peace and love, Archbishop. Peace and love, King's Bench panel. Everyone at the sound of my voice. Forgive me. I was in a car accident yesterday, and I was sleeping, and they just overslept, and I'm still trying to work it all out.
Glad you're well, Noble.
Glad you're well.
Glad you're well.
Indeed. What I've heard is, and I caught the tail end of the lesson, so I'm going to go back and review my what was taught today. But what I've heard is subject to vision. You know, a lot of information out here, but this information is vital. Vision. I have an acronym: vital information seen in our now. Because, like I said, all information is not vital, and this information is vital to your salvation. So it's important that we all grasp it. So with that, I digress. I love you all. Thank you, King and Queen. Thank you, Archbishop. Thank you, panel. And I greet you in peace. Love.
Well said, CA. And Archbishop, you have the last word.
Well, there you have it, brothers and sisters from the Kingdom of England, Empire of Albion. Our king, or we can say,
did I forget anybody? Brother Means. I didn't get you. Brother Means. Oh, yeah, I know I can't forget Brother Means.
I spoke.
Go ahead, Brother Means. I thought I got it.
I spoke already, right?
Yeah, okay. I thought I had it. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead, Brother Archbishop.
Once again, there you have it, brothers and sisters from the Kingdom of England, Empire of Albion. As we see, our King Clifford Jefferson, or we can say this case, Emperor Jefferson, has done a great job tailoring these lessons for the lost heirs who have forgot their way. One beautiful thing about this is too, especially those who actually understand the 1832 Prescription Act. Underneath the 1832 Prescription Act, it already tells you that after 60 some years or whatever of having these names and identity, you don't have to prove it. You know, it's already solidified. And what the king have shown is going back to time immemorial, right before time immemorial, that we always had these identities. Many different people from many different walks of life have tried to marry in, either through conquest or through other forms of manipulation to try to get into the family bloodline. And as we've seen what have happened when those individuals have came into the family bloodline, they start breaking down our estate to start having us think as individuals, i.e. being independent. And as we understand, Rome's philosophy is divide and conquer. But if you understand what King Edgar the Peaceful did, King Edgar the Peaceful brought us all together. So as we see today what's taking place in our own reality, we see so many brothers and sisters who are trying to do what? Live the life of a so-called United States citizen by being independent. Even the United States, you know, even them claiming themselves to be independent, they are still dependent on the King of England. So as you see, no one out here can actually really truly be independent. It's an oxymoron. Everything here on this planet that we call planet Albion, we need for existence, whether it's for our livelihood or for us to continue to keep doing, keeping up this planet. But we see no matter what, that if we don't do our job as trustees, you're going to continue to keep having impersonators, imposters coming in to try to take what is actually yours. If we don't get our acts together, especially right now, I mean, look, you know, you see children who are disrespectful to the elders, disrespectful to their mother and father, the ones who they come from. And you see that they're actually mimicking what we did. You know, we stopped actually listening to our forebears and start doing things according to our own will, which we see is it puts us or places us in dire situations where we actually cannot survive. Like the king have done, he's trying, the queen, they're trying to do everything they can to maintain our posterity. If we don't get this information and understand it and to start applying it to our everyday life, like Brother Burgess has said, we eventually will go extinct. The church was extinct for so long, and as we see, our obligation is to keep this church alive. If the church is no longer up and online and running, then guess what happened? We fall into the void again. Media is our biggest outlet, and we must be seen. To change the scene, we must be seen. And since the 19th century, they took the angels out of the picture and made us become abstract spooks. But they knew that guardian angels were actually physical beings, which we are back. And as guardian angels, it's our obligation to keep this nation going, because that's what the obligation of a guardian angel is to keep not only the kingdom, but keep the nation and those people alive and maintaining their sanctity by making sure we're guiding them accordingly. Like Brother Burgess said, a lot of our brothers and sisters read, especially men, at the 3rd grade level. Us as English heirs and successors, we're known as what they call intelligente, i.e. intelligence, the bright ones, the gifted ones. If we don't start displaying our gifts that our ancestors had put into our blood, remember, these gifts didn't come from you, they came from your ancestors. They would be taken away. And we see that's what's happening today, the fact that we're not utilizing our history, we're not utilizing our laws, and we're not honoring our ancestors. So all of our stuff is being taken away from us. So with that being said, you must come back whole. You got to come back into the church, and you must honor those kings and queens that's going back into time immemorial. Otherwise, you will no longer exist on this earthly plane. So with that being said, I digress. And once again, our doors are open eventually once those people are ready to finally start accepting their salvation. But right now that they're closed, so therefore you can see how serious we are, because you got to put the work in. It didn't come overnight for us to get here, and so it's not going to happen overnight for us to get our estate back in order. It's going to be some work. So do what you need to do. Start coming in, start preparing yourself. I'm happy to see the brothers bringing in their wives, you know, because the only way for your marriage to actually be considered de jure, it has to be done in the English church. All of those marriages that were done outside the church, remember, they were done by corporations. And as you see, corporations cannot give you anything that they don't have the right to give you. And in this case, they don't have the right to marry you. So do what you need to do. You know, the words our ancestors are going to continue to keep being evoked through us. And like we said, we love you. And we're not trying to hurt anyone, but at the end of the day, this will shake up your household. So I digress. Peace and love, everyone.
Peace. Love you
Peace
all.
and love.
Peace.
Mays, you're the man, Brother Mays.
I gotta say, Archbishop.
Hold on.
Well said, Archbishop. That was beautiful what he just said.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't stress enough that a lot of it is the participation, and your lives is going to have to evolve with the resolution. You know, you can't go contrary to the way it's spinning, or you're just going to cause conflict. And we know when conflict comes, there needs to be order, and I am that order. So with that, I love y'all. See y'all real soon. Watch these lessons, because I expect y'all to know this next time we have class. All right. Peace and love. Talk to you soon.
Peace.
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 Bye-bye.